We not gonna fuss this time.
Yeah, y'all are. It's all right. It's all right. It's all love.
What about now?
Yeah, that's I can see you better now. Yeah, definitely. Uh, Black brands.
Black man. Uh.
Rocking.
Black pink.
Oh, we on Facebook. Okay, cool. Go live.
Yeah, because I damn sure forget.
And sharing. 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 Share.
Yo, what's up, y'all? This your girl Dizzy. Welcome to another episode of What You Got to Say. Of course, I've got my crazy co-host in the building. What's up, Miss Cool Candace?
What up? What's going on, y'all? It is time to chop it up.
What's up, Miss Keela Mahogany? Looking like Mahogany Brown.
Come on, B.
Hey.
And what's up, Mr. Tyrone Gregory?
Hey, what's up? Love, gang, gang.
And last but not least, how you doing, Mr. Cabana Black?
Doing good. I'm that dude.
Are you that dude?
I think so.
I think so too. Whoop, let me turn that volume down. All right. Okay, so we got, hey, Miss Arlene Diggs. Hey, Miss Sam Samantha. How y'all doing? All right.
Arlene. So, hi, Arlene.
I know. All right, so the subject of the day, what you got to say, episode number 29 is called A Contract with Black America. So sometime this summer, rapper Ice Cube decided that enough was enough, and he revealed a contract with Black America, which is basically a contract that he would like to have politicians sign before Black people agree to vote for them. And it's to continue to fight against systematic racism. So what we want to talk about today are some of these topics in his contract feasible? Are they unrealistic? How can we accomplish these things? Now, of course, we are not going to be able to go through every single line item because it is an extensive contract with like 13 different subjects that are within the contract. But there are definitely some good decision-making topics to see whether or not we feel like it's fair. Is it necessary? Is it feasible? Is it realistic? And then last but not least, do we really think that politicians are going to be willing to sign this? So other than myself, because I did go and actually watch, but did anybody else besides me, did y'all go watch Ice Cube talk about this on Red Table Talk with Jada Pinkett?
I did.
All right. I did not. It's okay. It's okay. All right. So Cabana, what did you feel about his conversation on Red Table Talk? Or the entire conversation on Red Table Talk about
that's a lot to say, but I would say this first. Also, we'll probably put the link in there so you can actually get the PDF because it's a separate file and the link, just to let you know, that's direct and it's a PDF, so you can actually go in there and actually see the whole thing, and then it can separate it for you easier because it's going to go to a website and then it say download the link. So make sure you do that as well. For me, I felt like kind of like finally a person taking initiative. I felt like a lot of the things that he pointed out were definite concerns. I do think, of course, because the election's around the corner and all the drama that we have, the biggest feat was trying to get people to do that before. I think that this is something that we can use actually after. I think this is something that, with anything you build and you grow it and fine tune it and stuff like that. But overall, reading different parts of it, it does engage for us to be more a part of America, because Black America is not Black America, as we know. And as I've slowly found out, it wasn't created for us. It was built by us. And so therefore, there's a little bit of a disconnect, and I think that reconnect can happen maybe with this and then broaden and open it up. So that's what I took from it, because it's a lot to digest because someone's taking such a big feat. And then I have to shout out Ice Cube. You know, once again, from the hip hop community, showing initiative is a bigger thing to me, because you expect that from, quote, the stereotype of our Black community. They always look for something in a suit and a tie, but this is Ice Cube, you know, a producer, director, a man that's done everything, and he's from the streets. So it's all around 360, showing like we are breaking the stereotypes. Stop looking at us one way, respect us as Black Americans in America, and give us back our rights. Or actually give us the right to choose. Right. Give us the right that you never gave us. That's right, that's better said. Stop looking at us one way. Respect us as Black Americans.
Remix.
Or actually give us the right. I was like, I know mine ain't on, but maybe it was a repeat. But yeah, that's right. That's better.
Right. Gotcha. All right. So we're gonna go into some of the actual items that are listed in the contract. I did print it. I just put the link to the website in our comment section. So click on the link, and there's going to be another link in there that lets you download it to read it. However, so let's talk about the very first request. The very first request. And of course, you know how we do. Please comment, respond, whatever, ask us questions, whatever, because we are checking all of the streams on our watch parties, on the live page, everything, so we will respond to you. Okay, so the very first thing that the proposal is a bill to guarantee Black opportunity and representation. So what that means basically is adoptive plan of neo-reconstruction to redress past wrongs, I can't talk today, systematically imposed on Black Americans economically through many generations that has resulted in a wealth gap, where white families have 10 times the wealth of a Black family. So basically what some of the initiatives we want to see happen, one, they want America to formally apologize to Black Americans for discrimination and slavery. They want Black opportunity and representation to include affirmative action in schools, public and private, per student funding in states on an equal basis instead of paying by local property tax. Black representation on all government civil bodies, civil rights classes being mandatory in elementary schools, and additional polling places being put up in Black and minority neighborhoods. What say you people for the bill to guarantee Black opportunity and representation? And go. Anybody?
I think it's a great idea. It's a good starting point, because, you know, there a lot of congressmen and senators, and then you have councilmen, and you know they say they're going into these different communities and they're lobbying for your vote, but then when it comes time for you to actually go out and vote, they have either closed some of the polling places in your neighborhood or in areas that you could actually get to. They have gotten rid of some of the places where you can drop off your ballots. Because they've closed some of the places, now you have to go farther to try and actually vote. And then you have older people in the neighborhood who aren't as mobile as they were when they were younger, so they're having a hard time trying to get to a new polling place. Or when you even show up and they're badgering you about the identification that you brought in to prove you are who you are. So there are a lot of things that, you know, go into just them trying to get you to vote. But then when you also look at the opportunities that you're trying to, that we're trying to seek out for our children, because although some opportunities were there for us, for our generation, we want more for our children, which is what most parents want for their children anyway. But when you look at the leaps and bounds that our ancestors and our grandparents and our parents have had to make in order to get us to this point, just because you had people who didn't want us to vote, who saw us as less than human or less than a man or, you know, less than a woman, only wanted us to, be working in the back, didn't want us to walk in the front of the building, want me to say yes sir, no sir, or you can address my husband as boy, things like that affects your psyche, not just who you are as a person. Mm-hmm. So these are the things that y'all want us to get out there and get a job and stop living off of the system. Then y'all have to break up the way the system was put together, because mm-hmm. it was made to keep us down. It was made to allow our counterparts who don't look like us to benefit off of it.
Right. So do you think that the changes that are put in this first bill will help? So the first thing, of course, is do we really think that the United States of America is going to formally apologize for slavery?
Hell no.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I think that anything is possible. And when I first saw it, I said, well, maybe not. But the pressure is pressure. And one of the things that Ice Cube did say at the Red Table Talk, which I encourage everyone, I think, Dizzy, we should put that link in there as well, mm-hmm. is that he said, the reason an apology, of course, is important, and I'm putting it out there because I didn't think about it like this, even if we didn't get one, is that it shows that there was an era in history. And they did it, for the Jews. They did it for people like in that period with Hitler. They made an apology. I think with us, because it's such a devastating reality to the white community of what has happened, and a betrayal to us that helped build this, mm-hmm. it's a lot for those that did it to acknowledge it, because then they really have to, after that apology, reset the wheel. So once you apologize, then there's action. And that's why I was like, I understand why we should have pressure to get that apology, because then what happens is then America is responsible for what they've done, and they have to rectify it. So right. That is, and it is crazy to think that they may do it, but I hope that the pressure of this, what has been written, would lend the hands of pushing them much, much harder to understand they're wrong.
Right. So I see Albert Brunson says to admit guilt will open the door for something they are not willing to discuss. Ms. Arlene says our ancestors fought hard for us to be able to vote, so let's see how many will actually get out and vote. Mm-hmm. I do agree that an apology is necessary. I just feel that the United States, even though we're supposed to be the front runner of the world, the leader of the free world, or whatever the case may be, mm-hmm. Germany's already done this for Jews. They've already done minorities. Yeah, they've already done this to acknowledge Hitler is bad, the whole Holocaust was bad, are bad, and then now we've outlawed. You can't even wear a swastika in Germany without being arrested. There's a whole list of racist names. You can't name your child Adolf. You can't name your child Hitler. There's already legal things in place to keep you from doing this type of stuff that's happening here. But I don't feel like, I feel like it's necessary. I just don't know if we're going to see that a true apology, not a tap dance. I don't believe a true apology is going to come in our lifetime.
It'll cause a balance of power if they do that for them. They would feel like, you see what I'm saying? They would feel like they lost their balance of power if they apologize. And it's just that simple. Just like Albert said, once they apologize, they're admitting guilt, and then they have to do something to balance that guilt and balance that, injustice out. And they're not going to do it.
Right.
There's so many different entities and industries that were put in place to help keep us down, that if they did apologize and try to rectify what was done to our ancestors, one, there's so many of us right now. And so even if they did decide like, oh, well, let's do a payout, let's, send some money out to everybody, there's a lot of us, and that's a lot of money owed for that reason. But if you look at all the different communities and groups that have been wrong, they've made changes and they have apologized to those groups. They've apologized to the Indians, to the Native Americans, they've apologized to the Jews, they've apologized to the Irish that were, indentured servants. They've apologized to all of these folks, and they've made payouts and they've made changes to legislation and all this type of stuff.
Right.
But it would be so hard for them to do that for us because so many industries have capitalized off the backs of us, off of our detriment.
They don't have enough to pay us out.
Oh no, they'll always have enough. Don't let
There's not enough acres and mules left. It's too many of us, like Candace said.
But the funny thing is, I'm sorry.
But I agree. But here's my thing. I think that instead of us having that mindset, and Keela had us watch something a couple of weeks ago, I think instead of us having this mindset that the government is going to hand, let's say $1 trillion. I think there was a German accountant who calculated what the country would owe descendants of slaves in the United States if everyone had to be paid out. And it was like each person is owed, I want to say it was in the trillions. I got to go back and look, but I could have sworn it was that high. If not, fact check me if I'm wrong, because I don't remember now. But at any rate, we already know that the government's not just going to hand $1 trillion to each person, even $1 million. Right. They're not going to hand that money to us on the silver platter like that. But what I can see is the steps that Ice Cube and I don't remember the other guy's name put into this contract is how you get these funds, in a way, get these funds back. Or get
even the money is not like the money is the bigger issue, but I think awareness and wisdom is more of the issue. And I really do encourage everybody to go see that Red Table Talk, because some of the things that we just mentioned, he mentioned the money, but he also mentioned that a lot of us are just not aware of our rights. In the moment, Jada was like, I didn't even think about that. I can just ask for that. I can demand that. And I think that pressure and wisdom and awareness is very much a needed necessity, especially now that we have these platforms to give this kind of education to. Because once I was just like sitting there listening to it, there's so many things within this year, even though the pandemic has come and caused a lot of trauma, it has brought a lot of wisdom that I think would have not came for the Black community and the outlets that are being produced that is encouraging us to gain more power and more momentum and even building bridges that were not there. We obviously know, I saw this video that our fellow brothers sent to our group called Rodney, and that thing struck me, and it was so short and sweet, but it was from an African woman. And it just, even us being Black Americans, we need to be thankful for our African American ancestors who really, really took a big brunt of all of this. And she was just saying, like, you take platinum, you take our gold, you take our diamonds, you take this, you take that, you take all of us, and you still keep taking. And what do we have left? And then when the woman whom was probably a white American was, saying sorry, because we had a conversation about this a week ago, kind of, she was like, I'm not mad at you. I can't blame you because it's about building. And she said, we did not prepare for survival. She was saying that they were preparing for survival. And so I think in Black America, Black Americans, we now have the chance to not only prepare for survival, but to really make an effort for our children to live in a land that is free. And I know that we can bring the moon on top of the sun, but I'd rather put the sun back on top of the moon. Right. Because we are the ones that are old enough to push it forward. So I feel like this bill is really important to, if not anything, bring more awareness and wisdom of how to get there. And I think the apology is just like put out there because it needs to be put out there so they won't think that we won't want one. Right. Because they done done it for everybody else. So you know that you need to do it for us because you have built America truly off of that. Right. And that's a big thing to swallow. Even that for me, I was like, dang, like for real, that's really big.
Right. What about affirmative action in schools? So basically right now schools are fun. Go ahead, Keela, I'm sorry.
Well, I didn't get to comment on that. I think that they
everybody got an opinion.
Good. The girl said, I don't care.
Come on. She's
Yeah,
she's getting it together.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I said, my bad, y'all. Dog is crazy. So, I think they will apologize, the government, but they actually the House of Representatives did apologize for slavery in 2008. So there has been an apology issued. I think one can. I think we can get to another one with this contract. It'll just take the people within the government to do it. I think we could one day possibly get a president who would actually say it on live TV and do a formal apology. I like this first step. I think that, but what I think we are missing is that the American government knows exactly what they need to do. They've helped construct it for the Haitians. You know, they helped France get their reparations from Haiti. They actually enforced it. So they know exactly what to do. They've done it a couple of times, like Dizzy was saying in Germany. So to me, putting it down on paper and saying, hey, this is what we want you to do, I have to think, well, why haven't they done it already? Like, what is stopping them? Who is in place that is stopping them from doing this already? And so I think those people have to be rooted out and gotten rid of, to be voted out with people who actually want America to be a better place, not great again. You know what I'm saying? Those people who are still stuck in the past. So I think it's good to put it down on paper, but we haven't, but an apology has been issued, and I do think one will come in the future. We just need somebody who is, I don't know if it's brave or, you know, it's courageous. It's somebody, I think it'll still be, have to be politically good for them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? As long as we have the current political system that we have, where there's money involved and stuff like that, the financial interest has to be it has to be there for a president to do it, I think.
Right, right.
That to piggyback off of what you're saying, I think I remember them doing the apology. So if that was issued though, or not if, but because that was issued, the thing is, when someone apologizes to you, from that point forward, behavior should change. Action should change. So whatever led you to that point, to where you felt that you needed to issue an apology because of you wronging a person or because of whatever you did to that person or those people, that's fine. And we appreciate it. But what are you going to do to change your behavior so that one, that doesn't happen again, or two, you're not continuing to capitalize off of the detriment that y'all have caused to this point? What are you going to do different? Because y'all haven't changed any systems. I'm not saying any, let me take that back. Y'all haven't changed the majority of the systems that are still being used to separate but equal.
They're not willing to gut it. That's really what it is.
That's the problem.
Capitalist system.
Start all over and do something different.
It's a capitalist system that wouldn't benefit them to gut that and start over. Like they're
talking as if they even run the government. It's the industries, the people with financial influence that run this stuff. So until those people change in this current system, the current way that, you know, the government runs, until the people with the money are saying, hey, we need social justice now, we need a total reform like Ice Cube is doing, until those people start putting all their money into just like the other side, like the Koch brothers. Now the Koch brothers, they use their money to make the world exactly how they want to. Until there are people on this side that have enough money to sway influence in government, this is the way that it's going to be, unfortunately.
But I do want to say wisdom. I think all the stuff that you're saying and everything that we're saying, the one thing that I realized, I just talk as the novice, I'm just starting to find out about this for myself. I think that the problem is that it's Black America, as much as we may not want to admit it, has just been ignorant to a lot of stuff. Like there's a lot of things that I have learned just being on this panel. You know what I'm saying? So me, whom I think is somewhat educated, I imagine the rest of the world and the world that doesn't have access or the world that doesn't communicate that way. And so I do encourage as we move forward, you know, because I know we have so much to talk about,
right.
is that I think that wisdom in all of this is also going to be the difference, because when you know better, as far as us, I think we're able to do better. Because for me, I gave this topic of conversation because I just happened to come across it because I watched the Red Table.
Right,
if I did not watch the Red Table, I would have never known. So I think that the movement to get Black people aware that we don't assume that every Black person knows it is more probably powerful than anything to me personally than ever before, because I'm now realizing, like, dang, if I ain't know it, maybe my brothers and sisters don't know.
It's a lot of people that don't.
Important for the for Ice Cube to have included that civil justice, or you know, the knowledge or the education of it being included in elementary school curriculum.
Right.
I included that in there because just as well as there's a lot of things that we don't know, of course they're not teaching it to our counterparts. So I'm glad that he put that in there. That's one piece I think needs to be included, not just in elementary school, but they need to keep that going in middle school and college.
Well, that's when I was watching the table talk, I actually thought there was a statement that Ice Cube made that made me think of Keela, because he said, yes, of course we need to have this taught to children in elementary school, and then of course taught again later in their education. He said, but they need to be taught our story.
Yeah.
Not the story that someone wrote to make you feel comfortable with slavery, to make you feel comfortable enough for you to say, that wasn't me, that was my ancestors. Because what they don't realize is that, you know, and this is not all white people. I'm just going to say that now. It's not all, because we've got some white brothers and sisters that are struggling right along with us for different reasons, but they're struggling financially as well. But you have families who have developed millions of dollars of generational wealth because their families were able to pass on legacy to the next generation. And because some of our families now are just now starting to be able to create legacies to pass on to our children. The one thing I talked to my husband about this morning is that I feel that I like the contract. I do understand the purpose of the contract. I agree with almost everything in this contract that says should be done. But do I feel that they will be done? Right. No, I don't think that they will be done. And I don't believe that several politicians will sign this in order to receive the Black vote, because it is, some of these things are out of their control. It's out of their control. It's not something that they can write and say, change this banking law, change this loan law, change. It's not just with the one politician. I can, like, example, I could sign it. Let's just say I'm about to run for president and I sign this contract. I have a boatload of constituents that are up under me that would also need to sign it. Sure. And I don't necessarily, because they are working those pieces of the whole puzzle. Does that make sense? So like my congressmen, they need to sign it. The senators need to sign it. Your city councilmen, your governors, your mayors need to sign it. We need to stop just looking at the presidency and that time frame for these types of contracts. You need everyone on board who plays a part. But again, as Keela said, if they know, we're going to go to this bank lending reform one. If they know that there is a proposal out here to regulate and require banks to lend a percentage of all loan credit categories on an equal basis to the Black population, and you must meet a threshold of 13.4%, and the percentage rates have to be equal to what you charge white people, they start calculating.
That's money.
Okay, so if you make me do this, I'm going to lose, let's just say $1.2 billion a year. They're not going to sign that.
Exactly.
Because now you're messing with their profits. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just telling you the way the business is going to run. Hold on. I'm going to sacrifice $1.2 billion. But
just satisfied.
Nah, they're not gonna do it. They're not gonna do it. Like I said, I'm not saying that they wrong. Right? That they're. I don't want to say wrong. I know that they're not gonna sign it because it's hitting their pockets. It's going to hit their pockets. Same thing with the school system. Like I was saying, right now schools are funded by local taxes, local property taxes, local taxes that are paid in a district. Help fund the schools. And the example I gave to my husband a little while ago, in my area, let's say the average income for York County schools, average income for those families is between $150,000 and $200,000 a household. If I go right around the corner, there's another community that the average mean may be between $30,000 and $50,000. My schools could be funded with, let's say, $4 million a year. Another school system right up the street is only receiving $500,000. So now you're telling the people your school will no longer be funded for $4 million. We have to split it with this school down the street. So now it's what, 2.25 on both sides. So now my school system has lost $2.25 million. Do you know the outrage that the parents are going to have who are losing the 2.25 million?
Yeah, but that's crazy because education should be even across the board.
Agreed. I agree. And again, this is where I say again, this is where Europe has already got it right. And they've been doing this.
But this is the thing, what y'all are giving to the people, like I'm just soaking it all up in because I didn't even think about, Germany, I went over there and I knew the difference just being there as a visitor. It felt different. The air felt different. The people felt different. The conversation.
Because the air is cleaner.
Yeah, the conversation was just different. But what I realized is, we in America they have built a selfish platform. Right. Because, what you broke down for anybody who doesn't understand, anybody to go to church is basically like Baptist or Pentecostal. The pastor is not in control because they got to go through the deacons and the elders and all the board members in order to get a decision made. And then that lets you know sometimes is the blessing that we have that many people, or should we have lessened those numbers? Because at first, I think it wasn't enforced so people can make sure people are making a safe choice. But now we have so many people that it seems like no choices are made. And I used to notice that growing up in church, when you see people trying to make a simple picnic and you got 10 people on the board and it takes about 6 months in order to make that decision. That's how I used to assimilate the White House to the church house, in a sense of sometimes it's so crowded with opinions instead of facts, and just looking for the purpose of the people to be blessed and fulfilled, like in church, making sure the fellowship is good, blah, blah, blah. In White House, making sure that people are great and that they're doing what they need to do. Maybe we have put a lot of hands in the pot, too many, because of that greediness. Because if you think about it, in some ways, you said they have to take from the school system. If people would lay it out flat and plain, like you say in Germany, and say, look, we are in a pandemic, so this is what's going to happen because we need this for each school. Each school will get $2.5 million. This is what's going to be done in order for it to work. Everybody has to figure it out. I think it makes people submit better in the sense of working together as a team, as opposed to, they're taking, and I'm sorry, it's almost like somebody wants to make an excuse. I'm sorry, but we have to do this in order to do this. So we're gonna have to do this. And it almost seems very flimsy, and it causes people to feel insecure and enraged about their own investment in their lives. You know what I'm saying? So I just, I'm just gathering from this. It's just like, dang, how we get up in this bunch of doo-doo? Like, this is, thank you, honey. This is some running doo-doo too. It's a mess.
Yeah, too many.
And as Sheila says, there's people who can do this. I agree with that. The government knows what to do, but that's a lot of working pieces that you're going to have to overturn. Go ahead, Keila.
I think, yes, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a long process. There are professionals who can do it, and we should do it. I think that the per student funding is a fantastic idea. And if there is a neighborhood where the families have a higher, salary, then you can give to your school. If you want your school to have more, go ahead and donate. Go ahead and donate your time, donate your money. But at a per student, that lets you know that each person is valuable to America, because in order for America to be good, each person at least has to be able to survive.
Right.
True. Their elementary and high school, at least let's get them to there. Nobody's talking about, giving each adult some money. They're talking about the youth, the next generation, the people who are going to survive us, to be able to at least, can we compete? If you want to say that we're number one, let us really be number one. Just stop lying about it.
Right.
That's kind of how I look at it. So you taking $2.5 million away. Let's just see what this school needs. And maybe y'all just want some extra shit when you're doing $4 million, when we're giving you $4 million, but then somebody around the corner we're only giving that school $500,000, and you got the same amount of kids. That's
happening just in everything.
Kids. You got smaller class sizes because y'all have more money, so you can pay more teachers. You can split your kids up more.
Exactly. And so that's what they know. They did the research and they decided to put the money in here and not over here. They know. Let's all operate under that foundation, that the government knows exactly what they're doing, and all of it is on purpose. So
it's old money. It's old money being controlled by old people with old mindsets.
Yeah, exactly.
You see what I'm saying? And we're trying to figure out how to fund the future. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's going to be so hard to fund this future when these old people that's controlling this old money, they're trying to, like Dizzy said, pass these legacies down. You know what I'm saying? So they're indoctrinating. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. They teaching this in their families. You know what I'm saying? But they're teaching it down, pass it down, and now their families, their young people are understanding what they mean about that old money, but they're not even learning nothing new, period, about, you know what I'm saying, trying to make change in the world.
Right. So can I say this real quick? These are the rules now. What Greg just described, families passing down money, passing down legacy, nepotism within the workplace and all that stuff. Those are the rules of the game. Start playing it.
Thank you.
Right.
Try to change it, be on the way to change, but at the moment, this is what we have. This is the board that we're playing on, and so start nepotizing.
Right. So Nadine says, I don't think there'll be an apology because they still don't see that the issue still exists. They would have to admit to someone that they tried. They would have to admit basically the error to someone that they typically try to down talk. That's her personal opinion. Miss Arlene says, yeah, she agreed with us when we were talking about the school system. She said that's why we need to be in those school board meetings. So hold on, we got a Lance response. Hold on, let's see what Lance says. Lance says, this is a great start to a great idea. I haven't really dug into the contract. The U.S. politicians will never apologize for that. You want to get a true apology, start with the children. Teach them right from wrong, not to look at color, but the soul of a person. You start from the squad up. You teach your kids. They take that mindset into their social life as they grow. As they grow, they make choices that can create change in numbers. As they get older, some may get into politics. They already have that mindset. They will fight for that change. And if we approach any topic or issues like this, then there would be more of a change in the right direction. More people will be in politics with the right mindset, therefore making decisions of equality and a genuine passion for the welfare of their people. At that point, we can honestly say, in our opinion, will be the best fresh starting point in history when it comes to acknowledging the slavery and hurt that African-American folks have been through. It will not happen with a change in pregnancy. It will not change by changing one or two people in Congress. It starts with changing the mindset of everyone and how they approach things equally. Yes, sir, Lance.
And I agree to most of it, but there's one section that I don't agree with, the color thing. I really appreciate an artist that does what most politicians don't do. And this is the power to me of this platform and being an artist and what we do. Rihanna just did Savage Fenty. Now, first of all, people may do whatever they want to do and have an opinion, but see, creatives work subliminally. And that's what makes them so powerful. This second fashion show is exactly what we need to see. The key to freedom to me in America is you got to be uncomfortable in order to get comfortable. I think we are too comfortable with not talking about color. We're not comfortable with women in bigger sizes. Like the whole show had gay, it had voluptuous, curvaceous, block. You know, it had all sizes in this new Savage Fenty, you know, thing. And some people that are used to a certain look and a certain feel in lingerie would be like, oh, like, what is that? Why is she wearing that? Why are they doing this? Da, 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 da. Yeah. I look at the same thing when it comes to color, when it comes to culture. I think that it's very, very important that one of the things that we need to do with our young people is allow them to be uncomfortable with seeing something that does not look like them and teaching them that they are not wrong. These are different people that you need to get to know in the world that are Black and white and Asian and Japanese and Irish. You know, we don't teach actually, what is the terminology for that? We don't teach, it's crazy because I don't have a title for it, but we do not teach people to understand culture. We do not teach.
We don't teach multiculturalism.
We don't teach diversity. We don't teach people how to receive something, even from teaching kids. I think you should teach kids about homeless people, because if you don't, what happens is when you see a homeless person, you get some rude behavior because you can tell the kids that don't have no clue of what something is and the kids that do.
Right.
Servitude and community. I think that we get so comfortable in trying to coddle that we don't really create a firm foundation. When I look at other cultures outside of the United States, boy, they be teaching them, because you can tell that the kids are like literally unfazed. Right. They're unfazed. They know what to do. They know what to say. So I think I agree with Lance, but the only thing I don't agree with is that I think we have to acknowledge who and what we are. Everyone, not just Black people, but just everyone, because it wouldn't be right. I think that would be another way of being in denial. You know?
Agreed. So, and I've heard somebody else say that before, that, you know, I don't see color. And I'm like, well, for you to not see color, then you're denying me. You're denying who I am. If you tell me when you look, I don't see color, but you need to.
You need to see color.
You need to see color. You will never, just acknowledging the difference in the colors, the races, the religions, the genders, everything, acknowledging that is one step closer to understanding. I believe someone who sees, if I have a friend that looks at me and has absolutely no issue saying, yeah, Shonda's a Black female, she's a Black, female, and someone that says, well, it's just Shonda, I don't see color. I respect you more, ma'am. You can understand a little bit more about me than the one who doesn't see color in me. Because then you understand why, once you acknowledge that piece, then you understand why I'm uncomfortable coming to work the day after I see George Floyd. You understand why I'm a little more uncomfortable than you are. You see why I'm a little more uncomfortable with the Breonna Taylor situation. You see why I'm a little more uncomfortable when you don't understand Black Lives Matter. And you can see why I'm really uncomfortable when you retort with All Lives Matter. You have to acknowledge what I am. You have to.
Yeah.
So, all right, federal funding, baby bonds. So they want to pass a federal program providing every child with a government-funded trust account at birth starting with $1,000 contribution as proposed by Senator Booker. The accounts will be managed by the Treasury, and only those born into lower wealth families would receive more contributions each year, up to $46,500. At age 18, you have access to the funds, but it is restricted to enhancing purchases such as buying homes, starting businesses, and funding education.
I love
that.
I got excited.
Yes. Go ahead, Keela. I can't hear you, baby.
Unmute your mic.
Is this for black babies or all babies?
That is what I was gonna ask, because initially the way it's written sounds like everybody gets 1,000.
Yep.
But then lower wealth families receive additional contributions.
I think it's for black babies, because I think that Ice Cube said in the Red Table Talk that this is everything for the black community. And I was excited about it because I knew in Alaska, this is what they do. You know, my friends over there, some of my friends went over there like, look, first of all, it's good over there. And if I decide to have a family, trust, my baby gonna be taken care of. You know, boomboom.com. Bop. So I was like, yo, that is great. You know, for me, but I love that last part. Because in Alaska, they don't say it like that. Of course, they just like, you know, get the money, you do what you want to do, blah, blah, blah. This is great. Get a home. Like, the one thing that I don't say I regret, but I'm so proud of when Tyrone last week said, and our counterparts, you know, he got a home. Buying a home is an important thing. Like, that's a beautiful thing. Dizzy, y'all got homes. Like, that is the new goal, to have a place, because it is a piece of property and land that is yours. So I think that part just makes me smile, that you're looking out and saying, yeah, we got this money for you, but you're gonna think us even more when we say you gotta put it towards something that's gonna bring you a greater investment. So I think
that's gonna appreciate in value.
Yes. Girl, I feel like I have church off of that one. Number three.
So you guys think this is, do you feel that this is feasible?
Yes.
I don't see why it's not. I mean,
it's feasible. They can do anything that they want. They can
print
out money. They can give everybody money. They can really make every life in America, every American citizen, they can make their life at least livable. They can do it. Like that, they can do it.
Yes.
All of this is possible.
And I think this would be an easy in, you know?
Okay.
14. I think I hope it's for Black people specifically. I do hope that, and I think that when they put all babies, I think that was on purpose. So I do think they mean all babies, and I'm not down with that.
So okay. So why? Because why?
Because
why do you feel? Because I don't want to sway the. Why don't you feel that is a good idea for all babies?
Okay. Now I will say, out of let's get away from this contract with Black people.
Okay.
I think if our government decided to give all babies this, I'm down with it. I'm down with that.
Okay.
The frame of the contract for Black America, no, I don't think anybody else should be involved in what's going into this contract. What is specifically for Black America. That's what I think. I don't think we should be talking about anybody else in this contract. I don't think anybody else, you should be focused on anyone but Black America in the contract.
And I think it's created for Black, I think that it's also created for Black wealth in what you said earlier, Keela, for the generation that we're trying to build before. Number 3 out of the whole contract was my most exciting piece, because I was saying in my head, out of anything, if we don't quote get the apology and we still fight for this and that and say they did this for Black children, babies coming into the world, they are getting something already that none of us on this panel ever received. And that to me is wealth. And that is a future and an opportunity to build. So I think I have to go back to the Red Table Talk, but I do think that everything is for this, for our community.
And I do want to say, you know, I'm not sure. You guys can let me know if I'm mistaken, but it was Black babies, little Black kids who were getting spit on trying to go to school, right? When they were trying to, you know, integrate the schools.
Yeah.
They were getting beat way up, right?
Right.
White babies. Black babies were the ones who was getting torn apart, getting messed up in Emmett Till.
These are facts.
It's black babies in 2018, 19, and 20, if school would have been in, being taken to cotton fields, who's having teachers, put their foot on them. Those are black kids. That's happening too.
It was a 14-year-old Julius Stinney who got electrocuted and bribed with ice cream, right?
Right.
Oh, okay.
Baby. So to me, it just needs to be, that needs to be more specific.
Okay. So devil's advocate, just questioning.
Come on.
All right. First of all, I think this is an amazing bill. I like this bill in this contract. I like this section. Because this reminds me of Kindergeld in Germany.
Yep.
You have a baby in Germany, you pay German taxes, then the government gives you about $200 to $300 a month for every child, every single month until they turn 18. That's up front. It's not put in a treasury. It's not any of that. It's just given to you until the child turns 18 years old. You got multiple children, then you got multiple income. I like this bill, but I feel that if this occurs, I think it's going to cause a big divide in our country when this happens. I am all about the idea of equity, because I do believe that the baby bonds idea will provide a sense of equity in the country. But then I wonder if you have other families of other denominations, not just black, let's just say you have white, Native American, so on and so forth, and they have not benefited from generational wealth. If you have poor white people that are here, poor Native Americans, and they see this occur, do you feel like a divide would come, almost like that Me Too movement? What about me? Do you think that would happen?
Possibly. But I think, well, I don't know if you can put it this way, but though a lot of those groups were already apologized to. A lot of those groups have already been paid out. What have we received?
Okay.
And then you can't satisfy everybody either.
I like that. I like how you said that.
That on the back end, once that money is paid out, if they do go that route, I think financial literacy should be taught up to that point, so that people are aware of how to manage this money, how to spend it logically and responsibly, and how to invest it. If you can play the stock market, or some people are doing Bitcoin, or if you want to invest in properties, or you want to learn how to flip houses, or you want to start a business or start a franchise of businesses. These are different things that I think should be a part of the education piece prior to just, hey, here's a check. Thank you. We're sorry for what happened before, but here.
Right.
But don't you feel, do you feel that should, I don't know. I believe that financial literacy should be taught. I agree with that. But I actually feel that it should be taught to everybody.
Everybody should know that.
That should be taught to everybody. But I also feel that not just we as African Americans, but we as humans, period, got to stop sitting back waiting for someone to throw information in our lap on how to do shit. Go Google will show you. Ask somebody. Go into a bank. There are places and resources that are there that will show you. And again, I'm not saying that everybody is supposed to know this stuff. I'm not saying, but if you've got a cell phone, that's the only. If you are working around with a little Nextel burner phone, and then you tell me you don't know financial literacy, then I'll check that box. But don't tell me you walk around with $1,000 phone and don't use Google to figure out how to do something with your funds. I cannot fathom that no one has ever told anyone about financial literacy.
Well, I wasn't taught financial literacy, but the difference is I was raised in a home to dream big and to go for your dreams.
Right.
That doesn't say financial literacy. I was around a father that handled his business, took care of the bills. My mother was Holy Ghost, and she made sure that I knew God and that I knew how to work, and I was able to work several jobs. But that terminology, financial literacy, just like home economics, I don't know how to cook. You know what I'm saying? It's like certain things like living should be taught to our children.
Agreed.
That we're not teaching our kids how to live, how to earn, because that's just important. And when I think about it, I shouldn't say this. I have to say it.
When this I think be like one class,
right?
Like everything we've been talking about: financial literacy, the civil rights piece, and home ec.
And those were 3 different classes that I took in high school. Those were 3.
Thank you. We were taught that, but they took it out of the school.
I wasn't taught.
No, I'm sorry. I'm showing my age then. I was taught that in school. I was taught these things in school. You see what I'm saying? But they took it away at a certain point. And what's crazy is like y'all were talking about teaching diversity and things like that. What's crazy is really a lot of these babies right now, they understand diversity. They understand that way better than people in our generations and in between know it. Right. We need to be learning it. You know what I'm saying?
They understand diversity.
Education needs to be learned there.
They understand diversity, but they understand diversity with ego. They don't understand diversity.
Well, that's all in their family life, though. That's in who's at the immediate home. You know what I'm saying? That's the learned behavior. That's not the education of it.
And that's what goes back to us. Our learned behavior is that some of us are not educated in what she said, financial literacy. And just like this generation, they are business people, but they don't have what we have, which is just some common sense and some less of the vain thing and less of the ego thing, and understanding that I rule the world, as Nas says. You can't do the rule the world without your squad, your people, building a business. And so I think a lot of times, what I was about to say before is, because now we were passionate, but I always try to get myself back to it. So if people are listening to me, I realized in going to high school, going to middle school, going to elementary school, and I don't know if Keila and anybody gonna agree with me, but I'm like, dang, y'all didn't really teach. Y'all didn't teach. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm having a moment right now, like, dang. Y'all did not teach, because half of the stuff, I'm going to say 90% of the stuff that I was taught outside of a teacher that was more personable, I'm not using at all.
Y'all were talking with regurgitating brain dump.
Yeah, and I'm not telling people, do not send your kids to school. What I'm saying is, like my sister did, I didn't get it before, because I feel like my sister is the dopest mom. She would go to school, but she had other homework added to schoolwork. And I was like, God, you tripping? Why you having her do that? But now my niece is like, boom, like it's like crazy. And she's fun, she's doing what she need to do, but my sister filled in the void and the gaps. And some of that, of course, is initiative and understanding, because my sister was a geek and a nerd and all this kind of stuff. But for the global, for us, that initiative is not
everybody is at the same level.
It's not like you don't do it. It's just like you go, you want me to do that? Oh, okay.
Some people
say it again, Keila, because you were kind of going in and out. You said everybody's not what?
I said everybody is not damn.
That's why I tried to catch her before she lost it.
Everybody is not curious about things to where like the question would pop up into their head, like, why is this not working the way that it's working? Or they just do something because they're trying to survive, and so they feel like, okay, this is working for me. I'm not, whatever they're like, they are on their road, and so sometimes the curiosity doesn't spark for you to then research some new stuff that gets you to another level. You know what I mean? Because some of that, like investments, that is a whole other level of money. You know what I mean? That you have to spend time in and research and do all that. houses and stuff like that. So people aren't thinking about everything all the time. It's like, okay, when I'm going to buy a house, that's when I am going to, you know, start looking into it. But if it was in school, then that would be a foundation that I would already have. You know what I mean? At least the basics of it. Can we just get the basics of how this country runs or how the world runs to be like, okay, you need to know how to get shelter and keep it. You know, you need to know how to, you know, maybe interview or something, because these are the skills. You need to know how to manage your money. I'm not saying at that, like there's another level of how to grow your money, but at least how to manage it. Like, can we just tell people, you know, like not everybody at home, because we're coming from the past. We're not coming from the future where, you know, we already know. We know now because we grew up with the computers. Right. But from the past, they didn't know this shit. They didn't know how many different avenues of financial literacy that they needed to know. They just knew that I need to survive today. I need to make sure that my family has a house and money is coming in and stuff. You have to have you needed to have somebody introduce that to you. Now today, yes, there is Google, but some people just don't have the curiosity to try to go that step further to take their life to a different level.
That's a good point.
Okay.
Oh,
You also have
a good point too.
You also have to look at people who grew up with parents who were a part of the whole do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
And in people who are thinking that way, they're also not including their children in the conversations of money. Yes. So when they're paying their bills and when they're paying for things and the child is asking, well, how are we paying for this? Or, you know, who paid for that? Or where'd you get the money for that? Or how much does this cost? Mind your business. That ain't your concern.
Right.
Some parents is, you know, response. And then, you know, if that is your response, nothing against you, but you're kind of, I can't say at what age you should prepare your child or start to teach them financial literacy at home based off of what they are and aren't learning in school, because, excuse me, look at the bills that you have to pay. Look at the mortgage or rent that you have to pay. If your kid is asking, hey, can we go to McDonald's or can we go buy Chick-fil-A? But you got this, you know, $600, you know, rent that you got to pay or whatever for your apartment, and you only got paid $850, and you still got groceries, you still got a cell phone bill, and your kid is playing sports. All right, I got to make the rest of this stretch. No, we can't play. We better eat these oodles and noodles and throw some hot dogs in it and call it one.
You better talk about the movies and noodles.
If you are teaching your child that, and if they aren't aware of it, by the time they do become of age, they're going to be terrible with money because they weren't taught how to budget or how to manage the money that they receive, because all they saw was, man, my mama was a hustler. She didn't have a lot of money, but we were always eating and we always had something going on. You know, that's all they know. So they aren't at a, hey, all right, I get $2,500 at the beginning of the month, and these are the bills that I have, and I have to make sure that I can pay these on time so it's not affecting my credit, but at the same time, make sure that my kids are good and the lights aren't getting cut off and there's not an eviction notice on the front door.
Right. Look, Malik is loving this.
I love what Malik just said.
Malik just said, yes, Candace, if they are old enough to ask, then they are old enough to be taught.
Amen.
Down to their level, but at least get them started. I agree 100%, Malik.
I'm going to tell you, the way we did that in... Go ahead, Candace. Keela, go ahead.
Keela's mic is just not letting her interrupt ever. What's going on, Keela?
I was just going to say, if you can teach them a second language, like sign language, when they're 3 months old, you can start teaching them about financial literacy.
Right.
Give them some courses, give them $1, you know what I mean? Whatever, just have them involved in the process so there is no fear around money. Because take it here. How difficult is it for two adult people in a relationship to have the conversation about money? Is because you have a fear and you have, and that conversation hasn't been ingrained into your life to where there's zero anxiety around it. Because honestly, when you don't have money, you do, like, there's tension. But we need to like put into people that you may not have money today, but this is how you can start making money. So there's not so much fear and anxiety about it.
Right.
You know? And your worth, your self-worth is not attached to your money.
We need to get a financial person here. Yeah. We need to get a financial person on the show to give a basic financial literacy class.
Yes, facts.
Because I didn't. 18-year-old Keela was like, give me them credit cards. You know what I'm saying? The what is it called? The predatory credit card companies coming to Keela at 18.
Bruh, those folks that were coming to colleges.
Yes, on the campus.
You want a free t-shirt? Hey, you want this free water bottle? Sign up right here. Well, why do you need my social security number? Oh, it's just for, you know, and then they make up something weird, and kids are gullible, so they go for it. And by the time they get out of school, they got, you know,
hella debt,
$7,000 in extra debt on top of
it. Debt, then plus student debt. You got the credit card debt, and now you got your student loan debt too.
Thank God, I never got into that. I never got to that. Mm-mm. My mom always said, debit is debit. Get a debit card and shut up. I was like, okay. And that's it.
Right. So let's talk prison reform.
Oh.
This prison reform one, because we got deep into baby bonds. Prison reform. So in the Black Contract with America, privately run prisons will be abolished, prison labor disallowed without consent, and non-violent offenders incarcerated for 10 years or longer will be freed if good behavior standards are met. All prisoners for marijuana possession will be freed. First offense for illegal drug use or possession will require government payment for entry into an approved drug rehabilitation program rather than imprisonment. Once any prisoner completes a sentence, voting rights are restored. What say you to this prison reform line item?
I actually like all of it.
I love all of it, but that last part,
yeah, last part,
debt to society. Why can't I vote now?
I agree.
No sense to me.
I agree.
Like once you complete your sentence, you're done. Why am I on this list and I can't get a job? I cannot rehabilitate myself into society because now I have to check this block that says I am a felon or this and that. If I completed my debt to society, then my debt is complete. If I owe you money and I pay you, that don't mean I still owe you.
Right.
And it's crazy thing, I have a friend who I've watched over 2 years struggle. He's a great person. I didn't know about his past. Didn't ask him, you know, as you get to know someone. But in finding more about him, the problems that he has occurred because he is a felon. And he got out and couldn't vote and all these things. And, you know, his life got back together and, you know, found love and all these kind of things. But he would always have to do those type of jobs. I hate to say it, he was forking hay, and he was doing a lot of what I call that dirty labor. And he would quit these jobs because these people that were hired, they would hire people that were former or in prison and you know out, and they are very disrespectful and they're treating them like trash. And this is one incident, you know, I'm sure there's several, but in seeing that, you know, I thought to myself, wow. You know, once you do what you need to do, it's sad that you have to deal with those things. But I do have a little bit of a but, you know, because I love the whole thing. But I do want them to be rehabilitated back to society. And I think that the classes and every prisoner needs some prison reform, real prison reform, because not everybody is reformed. And I want it to be like legitimate because there's so many people in prison, and we're not talking about just Black Americans. I'm just saying in general, because in the Black community, not to say this like that, a lot of them when they come out, they're just looking to work. I'm talking about other colors. You know what I'm saying? They're other cultures and ethnic people that are coming out of prison and they're not ready to come back to society and they're recommitting crimes and they're doing things. So I think it's really important on that end that that situation is seriously taken care of, you know, in the lieu of mental health and everything like that. I think to me, what would be great in the prison reform piece is more saying there will be physical mental health sessions to help them rehabilitate back to society, not just, you know, a couple of questions. Because a lot of times when we read stuff, it looks so pretty on paper. But when you go to see what it is, it's like a little bit of water on your hand. It's not going involved. It's not as in-depth as it needs to be. And I think it's just like, you know, I don't know this feeling. Gregory would probably be able to explain it better to me as far as like this, and my dad, like war. When people come from war, I know that I feel like they need to be taken care of as well, because whatever they may have seen in war, they need to be taken care of and cared about. And a lot of times I've seen this one situation, it really bothered me, but he wasn't taken care of, and this particular individual, he just did not handle it, and in the end was not a good end, you know what I mean? And so I feel like that is my problem. When you think about putting someone in prison, and they've been in prison in this confined space behind these bars, dealing with one demographic, you know, whether it's female or male prison, they have no social life, no social skills, no social interaction, but yet and still you give them a certain amount of time and expect that in that certain amount of time that they're going to be able to come back to society well, when they had to learn a whole new behavior in prison. Nobody wants to talk about the war in prison, like the things that they have to deal with as a man in prison, and the things, I mean, the real deal, the stuff that degrades them and makes them feel less than, and the things that they're introduced to. So I feel like we have to make sure that we take care, especially our Black men, putting them in jail, doing those kind of things. And I know there are people out there committing crimes, but for the ones when we know it's unfair and they give them these crazy sentences and they do all that stuff, there's been many of a story of Black men killing themselves in jail because they can no longer take it anymore. Right. So I think that it's very important for me in the prison reform. It's read nice, but I just would like it to have some real details in the mental portion to make sure that they, you know, we take care of them.
I tell you, one of the main parts that I like about that part was getting rid of the privatized prisons. That right there, they are making, those are slaves. They are slaves. Privatized prisons are basically, you get locked up, and those sentences, like you said, the people are having, like, you know, non-violent offenses, be locked up like 20 years, you know what I'm saying, for nothing. But they are working them. And then those wardens and the people that own those prisons, that are on those committees and those boards, are making money off the backs of them. It's still slavery, period.
Yeah. And
you need to get rid of privatized.
Silent aggression. And I do like what Malik is doing a little Lance today. He's doing a little Lance. He said, very touchy.
From Germany, man. I love Malik. I think he's from Cali.
Cali. Oh, okay. Because he's like, I mean, he's in there. It's very touchy, but I agree. As far as prisoners are concerned, most occurrences can be attributed to the lack of parenting, the lack of education, the lack of ability to cope with problematic situations, which I love that part, the lack of ability to cope with problematic situations, fix the causes, and we won't have to spend so much on the outcome.
I agree. Like I said, I agree with a lot of these bills that are part of this contract. The major issue that I kind of have is like, okay, I hear what you want done. Now somebody's got to put the work in to come up with the actual detailed plan. This is like the main idea. Like, this is what I want to see, but then it's going to take lawyers and government and political leaders and community leaders to say what this actually looks like.
And I'm sure that they're already on it. I think what he's trying to do, and what I'm sharing to the people, is that Ice Cube is trying to get us on it with him. I think he's trying to get the community, the Black American community, to know, and that's one of the reasons why we brought this to this platform, is that he needs your help.
Right.
To us. He needs us to be a part of it and to send in things like this, those details. I wish there was a way for us to forward this Zoom so he could see this, because this is really good. Because I think the more that they hear, that will help fine tune some of the things that we were talking about and put more details into it so that those that have the same questions that we have that are in that powerful position can say, oh, okay, so he answered it. Okay, we mental health or whatever. Yeah. So we definitely encourage people, please read all of this and show some action towards it, please.
Right.
You know, I always had a problem with like celebrities and, you know, people saying, well, this is what I want to do and this is the change I want to see. Because my biggest thing is, well, when are we going to start moving forward? But then I had to think about, like, as we talked about in previous shows, you know, we got to start with these congressmen, these senators and all this stuff. But these are the kind of things that we need to bring to our congressmen, our senators, you know what I'm saying, our city council members. These are the things that we need to bring to them, you know, showing them these documents, showing them where they can go and read up on them. And like you said, Dizzy, they may not have the power to change them, but if they start at their level and change what they can change and pass it up and say, right, what can you change at your level? This is what I changed at my level. And they keep passing it up. Eventually we will see some change, but it's just like a snowball. You gotta get it rolling to get it to get big enough to make a snowman.
I think that some I actually feel that a lot of politicians, congressmen, senators, etc., governors, mayors, etc., they know that these things need to change. They may not feel necessarily they need to change in this manner, but they know that they need to change. I just think that the one thing I like with the contract format is that instead of it being piecemealed in 50 different states with 50 different governors and thousands of different people, they put it all in one location to say, hey, if you want to know in general what we want, here you go. Here it is right here, all in front of you, the exact way that we want it, versus them having to piecemeal it together at the end of the day when they take it for vote. I want to hit on the last piece of judicial reforms, because just recently we had a president not do what is listed in the judicial reform. Lynching to become a federal, eliminate mandatory minimums for three-strike laws. Department of Justice can be sued for non-compliance. Lynching to become a federal hate crime. And the Ku Klux Klan declared a terrorist organization.
So beautiful.
So, yeah.
So beautiful.
Is it gonna happen?
I believe.
It looks good.
I do. You know.
It sounds good in theory.
Hold on. What did KB say earlier? It looked good on paper, didn't it?
It looked good.
It looks really good on paper, but that last part. I do believe that the lynching being a federal crime is possible. I believe that's doable.
But if you
saying that the Ku Klux Klan, they're going to declare them as a terrorist organization.
If you can do one,
never.
I wouldn't say, I never say never. If you can do one, you can do other. And I'm gonna say this too. Once again,
that is the organization.
Well, hold on.
That is the organization.
I'm gonna say this one thing. If we can put that particular seed out there, I always say, then what you doing it for? There's one thing, please everybody go see this Red Table Talk, because a lot of times when you read stuff, it's one thing, but you need to hear the person talk about it. And it's another thing, because she talked about HBCUs and Harvard and how they get all this money. It's that we don't know it. Like if I would have thought about this for myself, you know, Ice Cube, great. I love him, but Tyrone, Candace, Keela, Dizzy, Lance, Malik, anybody that has initiative can do this, could have created this. The woman that took prayer out of school was not famous. She just wanted prayer out of school. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't take a celebrity to do something. And this contract for me made me think about Martin, Malcolm, Rosa, Harriet, All of these people, they weren't famous to be famous. They just made a decision. And I said, God damn, excuse my French. But I was like, yo.
French.
But I was like, Jada Pinkett said it best. I never thought about it until I saw it. The rule of manifestation is this. I'm going to be a little preachy. Amen. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Let me check it in physical. Speak life into your life. On my calendar, the week ahead, I always put a word of what's going to happen. Today is abundance. Tomorrow is fulfillment. The next one is joy. You have to speak a thing for a thing to be. Even if it's trouble and even if it's problems in it, you have to have a manifesting spirit. So for me, I was like, you know what? This contract shows me I limited what we can do. I'm not saying like, yo, it ain't obvious that, Ku Klux Klan is full of government money and police and on and on and on. But that's not what Martin did. That's not what Malcolm did. That's not what Rosa did. That's not what Shirley Chisholm did. I mean, the list can go on and on and on and on and on. But we have celebrities, but you don't have to be a celebrity to make a decision. So I feel in my heart personally, like, dang, because it's on paper finally, and there's some legal, like, I'm trying to do it, and it's like, okay, well then let's see what we can do to make it happen. The hate is so big that I feel like they have hated us so good and so hard and so great that it almost puts a defeatist spirit on us at times. But when I see things like this, it makes me go, yo, wait a minute, Cabana. You a local celebrity in Virginia. You got least power in 7 cities. What you doing? You work for the city of Hampton, Portsmouth, and Norfolk. You got status. You a community leader. Shut up, get up, grow up, stand up, and provoke the narrative. So that's what I'm saying. I know that it's
I agree with all of that.
I
agree with all of that. I agree with exactly what you're saying. But I need to see the work. How are we going to make the Ku Klux Klan classified as a terrorist organization when our president of the United States of America right now wouldn't even denounce white supremacist groups?
Then that means it's on us.
He acknowledged them.
He acknowledged them.
He acknowledged. I didn't say he
acknowledged them.
I said he did not denounce.
He didn't denounce.
Yes, I'm saying he didn't denounce them. He acknowledged them like, hey, y'all stand down. Like,
nah. And then that stand down part, but then there was
that stand down?
Nah.
Stand back and stand down.
I said, bro, that means you talking to them like y'all friends.
Stand down, stand by.
Stand down.
He talking to them like he's waiting on them to get, hey, there's something coming. I need y'all to just hold tight, hold your position.
Like, he acknowledged them to the point like, this is, hey.
Right. So that's why I'm saying I have faith. I do.
You can speak,
but that bill right there, that piece of that bill, you got to bring Obama back for that to happen. You got
what
to. What do you propose? Ask for that when Obama was here. Ask for that when someone in the House who is directly affected from that group. And
what we can do. What can we do? Like
all of them, not just one. Because I can say, oh, I'm not part of the Ku Klux Klan. I'm a Proud Boy. So I'm not committing any domestic terrorist federal crimes. Just change the name. That's all they'll do. Because I feel I understand faith, but I also understand there has to be evil to appreciate good.
Right. Faith is not just about you talking evil and what I call the shenanigans. I'm talking about outside of what we are saying, what are you going to do? Like I'm saying, this is what makes me think when I look at something, another thing that I feel like is a problem is a lot of times we read something and then we say, well, what are they going to do? No, what are you going to do? Like, how can we add to the narrative of what Ice Cube has already started?
Because we're doing it right now, brother. We're doing it right now, brother.
This is the platform. This is just the platform. After this goes off, click, 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 and lights out, what are you gonna do? Like, I realize that every platform that we have, it incites me to take an action, either to do something or not do something. It's just like someone says, when I'm in the band and I'm rehearsing, only reason I'm a great performer is because what y'all don't see is on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm in the mirror for 3 hours a day performing by myself. You know what I'm saying? So by the time I get to Sunday, I'm ready to do something that seems seemingly easy. So I'm saying, what are we going to do individually? Because I think individually it comes back to collectively. I think the platform is great because it introduces wisdom. It introduces what's wrong. And we always show what's wrong. We always show the things that people need to think about. We're always showing. So I'm saying with this situation, what will we do? Like, I would even challenge each of us when we come back next Sunday is like, well, what one thing do you think that you would do in order as an individual to encourage the process of what's now been put out physically? Because I think a lot of times on talk shows,
right,
they give us the news, they give us the reviews, they give us all this stuff, but then later on, it's like, 6 topics later, it was just a topic.
Well, I mean,
go ahead.
All we can do is sign the petition to put your name on it, say, I support this. That is one thing that you can do when it comes to this, because they're going to be able to take this off. I think we're doing it by informing other people so that they can also sign the contract if that's what they think, is good. And I think all those are actions. You can't deny that. You know what I'm saying? But with this particular thing, it is that you just can sign it. Because if we try to get in the middle of this contract without knowing, like maybe they have committees, let's say in LA, they have a committee that I can be a part of or something like that. Is definitely something that I would consider. But
right.
Before we go off, I don't know if you were going to talk about anything else, but I did want to touch on the Police Reform Act. And
Yes, I wanted to go ahead and hit that too.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so Police Reform Act. You want me to read the whole thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. All
right. Summarize it, sis.
Yes, because you know what? You got some people out here who have not read it. Because I keep seeing every time we say something, Miss Arlene is like, because she's thinking about it because she hasn't read it. So it's okay. Police Reform Act. So what we want. Police reforms will be implemented in an expansive act that will at minimum include elimination of qualified immunity, requirement of mandatory malpractice insurance for police officers, make municipalities liable for unconstitutional actions by police, mandatory use of dashboard and body cams, elimination of chokeholds and no-knock warrants, establishment of residency requirements, de-escalation training, and a requirement to update training. Your penalties for evidence tampering and including withholding DNA. A federal database of police and disciplinary records established and made public, and once fired for cause cannot be rehired. Creation of Office of Independent Prosecutors to solely focus on prosecuting police accused of wrongdoing. So we've talked about a lot of this stuff on several other shows.
Man.
So we don't have to rehash everything. However, do you feel that this Reform Act is feasible? Go ahead, Greg.
I just need them to add one more thing to that.
Come on.
They need longer training times.
Oh, yeah.
And more requirements to become a police officer.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So not one more thing, 2 more things. Longer training and more requirements to become a police officer.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
If they add those 2 things, I'm fine with what he has right there. As long as you add those, you can add 2, just don't take away from. Add to it though.
I think one thing they need to add is they need to get rid of the jump out boys, as they're called in New York, where
that's everywhere.
Break that down. What is the jump out boys?
That's everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
Drug dealers on the corner and that van pull up, and then all of a sudden they jump out that van and round everybody up.
Okay, got it.
And no matter if you was just walking down the street and just happened to be at that corner at that time, you got rounded up.
Got it.
Yeah. So plainclothes officers in a van going out and serving warrants. And this is how they can just jump out, and they see somebody who has a warrant, they can go get them and put them in a van. It's not a proper arrest. What you would think, just, hey, this is what's happening. You know what I mean? You got a warrant, you need to come with us. No, that's not what it is.
Right.
It is, like they did with a young woman, just snatched her up off of her skateboard and put her within the van.
Yeah.
That was on camera in the middle of a protest. She was skateboarding in the middle of a protest, and what they did was come here, like 6-7 men, plain clothes, no identification on the van or anything like that, and then they had the police protect them. That has to stop. That needs to be involved.
Absolutely.
If a person has a warrant, like sometimes it's for the dumbest shit. You know what I mean? Why is all of this necessary? Just go to their job and get them. You know so fucking much. Why are you trying to pick them up like a damn kidnapper? That is my problem. So let's reform that. Let's stop doing that.
Right.
Okay. I like the added piece that Greg was putting on, that they need to extend the training time that they have to become a police officer. Mm-hmm. And then I also think that just like how so many other positions and industries, you have to recertify. So you need to continue to pass this training class in order to maintain where you are. Or if you want to move up and be a lieutenant or, a detective or whatever the case may be, of course, there's certain classes and things that people have to go through. But in order to maintain the status where you are, you need to continue to recertify every so many years, because whatever you did when you came in initially, that's fine. And it got you to where you are. However, things aren't the same. The streets aren't the same. Right. The people aren't the same. The law, all the laws aren't the same. Some of them are, but you need to be refreshed on that information. But and absolutely. You need to, a lot of people do need to be retrained. So I definitely agree with the piece that Greg had with extending the training time, because look at how long does it take to become I'm not comparing that, saying that the equivalent of a police officer is of all of these positions that I'm about to name, but I'm just saying, look at the training times that you have for it. How long do you have to go to school in order to become a lawyer? Or how long do you have to go to school to become a judge? How long do you have to go to school to become a doctor or a nurse or even an LPN? Or how long do you have to go to school to be a college professor? Or how long do you have to go to school to be a kindergarten teacher? Like you have to be trained more than just, 6 months for a certificate or 6 to 8 months or whatever it is. You need an extensive time frame. Our service members go downrange and they have to follow rules of engagement. So they just can't walk in and kick in everybody's door and round everybody up that they see just because of where you are. No, I can't just walk in and shoot you. I got to be shot at first. So I felt I was in danger. I felt like my life was threatened. Not making jokes, but that's what a lot of people's argument is. This man had a brush in his hand.
I'm down the steps, but I don't shoot at the steps.
This dude had a hairbrush in his hand. I'm just gonna brush my hair.
Candace,
a hairbrush?
Candace, let me tell you how petty this is. This is my point I was trying to say, and I'm gonna tell you how petty this is. I got a background in human resources and I got a background in logistics. If I wanted to go work at the police department right now in human resources or in logistics, I have to have a degree in human resources or logistics to even work in the police department as a civilian. But the police can come as a civilian and do what? How many ever weeks of training? Small amount compared, no degree, none of that. And out here on these streets. But just to file the paperwork, I got to have a degree and so many hours of OJT before I can even get the job.
Right. I will.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Dizzy.
Oh, what I will say is I do agree with the length of time in training. I do agree with the recertification. But I do also feel that with all of that stacked on top of that job, make sure that you are also equally compensating for that. Because right now, what they're walking in the door making with that little bit amount of training, you're not going to find qualified people that are going to take all of that training and get all of that education and walk in the door with the same pay. So that's why I'm just saying they are public servants, but I'm just saying make sure it's balanced out, because that extra schooling costs money. That lawyer schooling costs money. That judge's schooling costs money. And they're not paying for police schooling. They're not paying.
By all means.
I'm
with it. I'm pay these folks what they're worth.
Compensation definitely needs to be offset with all of those new requirements.
Those are facts.
I'm with it. Pay these folks what they're worth. Same thing with school teachers.
Yeah.
Pay these folks what they're worth.
Right.
These parents that are struggling right now because of COVID and having to teach their kids at home, wait till the school year open back up for real. Hand me that school supply list. What you want? You said you need an iPad? Okay. You said you need a MacBook computer? Okay. You needed 4,500 pens? What color? You want black? You want red? You want blue? You want purple? How many markers you want?
Did you see that video of that white lady at the store talking about what you want? You want a rug, bitch? I buy you a rug. I don't give a shit.
Going through Target, putting everything in a basket. Pay these folks what they owe.
You had something to say.
I wanted to say, in this, I don't want this to, I hope this doesn't come off bad to my military people, because I respect y'all like 100%. But I will say that the more educated that you make a police officer, just like the more educated you make, let's say, an airman, the more they're going to try to think for themselves. That's not really what those organizations want. They need them to be very obedient. They need them to do and not think. Not think for themselves, but think within the organization. And so I think if you require them to have advanced degrees, like you guys said, you will definitely have to pay them. And I'm not sure that what they will want to do is walk the beat. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how you change all of that. And there are way smarter people than me who are going to take care of that thing. But
then they're not. Like, I feel like you are so engaged, and I think that's another thing that I'm seeing, that we the people, if anybody's read it, you know what I'm saying, for me it was the most powerful piece, we the people, and my conspiracy theory is the same as yours, Keela. I think that the reason why we have the problem is because they allow people that have mental issues to become cops. Though the title police is not the problem for me. It's a job, and I'm not going to vilify the word police, because police are needed. It is the individuals that are in the job that are taking on this title that do not understand that they are to protect and serve. Those are two words that is not happening. Protecting.
They're not. That's not their thing. They don't.
Yeah. They're not protecting, you're not serving the community. You're supposed to protect the community, and you're supposed to serve the community. And when something is not right, you're supposed to be there to make sure you're the balance, not the finale. They are bringing a final issue to something.
Yeah, but that's not how the organization runs currently. It's not to protect and serve the community. That's not a real thing.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. But it was built off of quote that, and I think that what you're saying is,
never built off that.
Right. I'm saying that was a marketing thing that somebody said.
It was never built off that.
I believe that that's what it was. I think that was like maybe propaganda. I'm not going to say that, but it happened.
So you think like in the beginning, police was like the good old fraternities that serve their own purposes? Because I never joined a fraternity, and I'm not dissing fraternities, but I was never attracted to fraternities because I believe that, it serves certain things. So therefore,
the police were made to catch slaves.
Okay, so now that we have that, and see, and that's another thing. Even that's a whole, you know what I'm saying? That's a whole nother line of wisdom that just dropped in the head. That's why I love this platform, because I feel like these conversations are not being had. Because for me, I would think the police is there to protect and serve. But you're saying I got to go study a little further, and they're not. But we that know, those that you that know, this is not to throw it at y'all, but that's
right.
But this is the responsibility. This is the part that I was saying, that there are so many people out here that don't even get that simple piece. that they have to be like, dang, that wasn't even rap for us.
And that's why this platform is, like you asked earlier, what are we gonna do? That we are doing the best of what we can do right now to begin. You know what I'm saying? We're doing the best we can do to begin. All of us do what we can in our communities anyway. But at this platform that we have right now, we are educating others. Just like we're educating each other throughout. We're educating others. And that right there, I mean, it's cliche, but what do they say? Knowledge is power. If we know, we can do better. And if we know better amongst the 5 of us and we're teaching each other, what are we going to do? We're going to spread that throughout our community.
Yeah, I do think that this opens the narrative, and maybe this will be another topic back and when we get done, that in social media, to me, we are focusing on the wrong things. But we are focusing on the wrong things because we may not know no better. And the fights that we have chosen to fight and all the trendy, cute, cliche things, and going back to my earlier statement, live uncomfortable. Because when you live uncomfortable, you'll have a better life than living comfortable. You live comfortable, then that means at the end of the day that you're going to probably do the same things, wake up at the same time, see the same people, and have the same relationships. You get uncomfortable, you're probably going to be a game changer because something is going to trigger you and make you say, damn, I didn't think about it. For me today, this was my life. I don't know, we in a statement, but for me today, this has been my aha once again, that even though I may know, I don't know enough.
Okay, so that's going to start our roundabouts. So who would like to do the next roundabout to take us out?
Yeah, I'll start. I'm just going to touch on the public airwaves piece. I hope that they add to stop the narrative of Black on Black crime. That shit is dumb. Y'all know what you're doing.
Agreed.
Like, you know what the fuck you doing. Why you acting like you don't?
That's Roxy, everybody. This is Roxy today. This is not Keela. This is Roxy Mahogany. And Roxy, sometimes she come from the 70s and she don't play. So Roxy, give it to him.
Roxy Mahogany. I love it. I love
it. That's the name, Keela. Roxy.
Right.
With an I.
Oh, go ahead, Keela.
Definitely read the contract. Try to follow this space so that you can keep up with what's going on, because it definitely can impact you later. I'm very glad that somebody has written down, I'm sure they have it written other places, so I'm not going to act like it's not. I'm glad somebody that I relate to, Ice Cube, has written something that is, I think it's well put together. It's well written, the summaries of it. So I'm really looking forward to getting deep into the conversation. So I'll be following.
Awesome. Miss Candace?
Yeah, I'll be doing the same thing. I'm glad that someone that is, relatable did list just a few things, because I'm pretty sure there are a lot more that need to be included, and there probably will be once, we have a seat at the table to be able to discuss these things with the powers that be. But I'm glad that we're continuing the conversation. I'm glad that actions are being put into place for these things to be taken serious, because we have gotten to a place where it's like, yeah, I know y'all said what, happened wasn't your fault or whatever. Okay, but so how are we going to change this going forward? Because some people have been capitalizing off of our sweat and tears for way too many years, and time for something different to happen. Great. So how are we going to change this? Although our country is great and there's fucked up parts in it, so are in every other country. But how are we going to make our country greater? Because if you're trying to say make us great again, that's insinuating that what took place years ago or previously or prior to where we are now was oh so amazing and we need to do it again.
Right.
No, that's not what we about to do.
No.
Because I promise you, we are not our ancestors. Baby, the clap back that you will get, you think Nat Turner was bad.
Hey.
Wait.
Wait, the Shotgun Mary come out.
Roxy, shoot.
Y'all enjoy your week. Social distance, COVID is not gone. Although we're all tired of it. Wash your face, wash your hands, wash your ass.
Yes, sir.
Just do it. And stay away from people, stay out folks' face. Don't be at like super spreader events that like your president is involved in and pretending that he doesn't have it or not, letting people know what's going on. Because think about it. I gotta go sidebar this. If a person has HIV, they have to let a sexual partner know, hey, I have this. So even if I'm taking medication to keep me safe and to keep you safe, I still have to let you know that this is what I have right now. So if we engaged in anything and I didn't let you know that, I'm going to jail.
Yeah.
So the fact that you have this virus or had or still have or are still contagious, whatever it is, and you're not letting people know, like, hey, this was when I last got my last negative test, bruh, what the hell?
Agreed.
Come on, man.
Okay.
Yo, please go vote.
Yeah.
I voted.
All right, Greg.
Okay, so I tell you this. We talked about a lot today. We really did. And I'm thankful for every last person on the screen because y'all educated me today. But I tell you what I realized, and it's going to sound crazy, but America is the physical representation of the fucking internet. It literally is. You go on the internet, you get pop-ups. You trying to search one thing, you get a pop-up about something the hell something else. In America, you come to America searching for, oh, you want this. Anybody can come to America searching for the American dream. You searching for it, right? Like on the internet, you searching for something, then you get a pop-up. Oh, well, while you trying to find equality, you get a pop-up about Cardi B did this. That ain't got nothing to do with the issues right now. Oh, trying to do this. This pop-up. You know what I'm saying? Michael Jackson touched another baby booty hole. What the hell going on?
What?
It's like everything it's just the internet. That's what America is. You gotta pay attention to what the facts are. You gotta pay attention to what the facts are. You gotta chase after them.
From death though?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. That's how the internet runs. It's pop-ups.
You're right.
Every time something major is going on in this country, a pop-up happens with a celebrity.
A distraction.
It's a distraction.
It's a distraction.
So we cannot allow ourselves to get distracted from what the facts are and what we're trying to accomplish and what the goals are is what my overall statement is. Okay. You know what I'm saying? We really got to go after this. This is a great, contract. It's a great start. Just like Killer Mike had a great start when he did his show on Netflix. Yeah. Trigger Warning.
Yeah.
We gotta stick to these facts and we gotta go after these things and keep platforms like this in motion. Everybody, we need to send this to Ice Cube. Let him see that we are talking about this. And no, Albert, I won't stop. Leave me alone.
So what I will say is I am very glad that someone actually took the time and the effort to put this in writing. And in this format, let's put it like this, in this format, I like this format. I would love to see it catch more momentum, especially considering the fact that this was actually written back in July and we're just now hearing about it. So I'm trying to figure out ways to make it go a little more viral, and actually see some more people get behind this. I do plan on signing it. I've already downloaded the PDF so I can read everything else. I've also subscribed to the website to get more notifications about it. So I'm going to close this out reading the Black responsibility portion of this contract, and then we shall be out. Black responsibility. Chronic poverty creates an atmosphere full of negativity, frustration, hopelessness, depression, alcoholism, drug abuse, crime, and violence. There are some of conditions that plague the Black. These are some of the conditions that plague the Black community, which is dealing with extreme generational poverty. As we begin to gain social and economic equality, it is our duty to clean up ourselves and our community. This contract is a two-way street. As we gain social and economic equality, we must then begin to dissolve bitterness in our hearts for past wrongs. We must become better citizens who are productive on all levels of American society. We must step up after we pass this contract with Black America with no more excuses left in the kitty. My thing is this. I agree with that statement quite a bit, because if all these, on the contingency that all these things are met,
right?
If all of these things are met, then I can definitely see the country starting to heal. But it's just the start. There are several phases of healing. And healing is not always beautiful.
Better say that.
Healing sometimes can be very, very ugly.
Yeah.
So if these are met and if these are passed, Black America, we're going to have to brace ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because this, though great for us, is going to look really ugly when it happens in real life. It's going to be ugly for this country.
Yeah.
We out. Yes, because that was mine. You already.
That's it. You can't say nothing, girl.
Roxy got a whole paragraph.
Roxy, you already win.
You already win.
That was the round robin. What you mean?
You were the first one, Roxy.
Go ahead, Keela. Go ahead.
Do it. Go do it.
You brought in a new thing.
Yeah, you should have read that before we did the round robin.
That's good. That's good. I think that's
the
good.
responsibility back on us. It's a two-way street.
We can create that for the next one.
Wasn't feeling that shit.
No.
You didn't feel it? Okay. Okay.
But then you
Why would you not
another can of worms? You know you're gonna open another can of worms.
I know.
That's all she gonna do.
But I just have to say this.
And then Greg gonna have to say something.
I know. And
Hey, you don't judge me.
And you know, Shotgun Mary sitting there with her hand ready to shoot.
Let me tell you what Black responsibility is. Y'all just write this contract and get rid of that one, okay? Because you cannot put this contract in and then at the end of it be like, Black people, y'all need to make sure that you do this, this, and that.
I don't think that's what it's saying. I don't think that's what it's saying. That's not what I heard.
They're like alcoholism, this and that. Do you know why it's that way in those communities? Don't say it as if there wasn't a cause first, that there wasn't an action from the American government.
There was. I think that's indicated.
That's indicated.
Black people, y'all need to do better, pretty much, if this happens. If this passes, then y'all need to do better.
I am gonna get her some food, Lane.
Better always comes when people are secure in their lives. Better always comes. People always feel more confident in themselves. They always have their lives more together. That needs to go unsaid.
But it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. When you have things that goes unsaid, then you leave room for people to interpret. And I think that if that is their mission in the contract, it needs to be fully put out there. So if you agree or disagree, you should never let things just go unsaid, because the assumption comes.
Not be in this contract. It could be.
I gotta agree with Dizzy, and I gotta agree with Cabana. I feel you, Keela. But at the end of the day, a contract is a two-way street.
What is a two-way street? That the
contract is always a two-way street.
Yeah.
What is the two-way street that the Japanese had to do in order to get their reparations? What is the two-way street that Native Indigenous people to this land had to do to get their reparations? Not a damn thing.
They're not saying that you have to do anything but fucking act right, be civil, be successful with this contract.
We are those people. So to even put in there that we're not anyways, like we are those people. Some people are just in particular situations that allow them to, or that feed into how they are. Like, you are depressed. If you poor, you're going to be depressed.
But I didn't interpret it the way you're interpreting it.
Who are also depressed.
I interpreted that what he's saying at the end of the day, after all is said, now if we get what we want, what we also been wanting is for us to stop being, you know what I'm saying, going through the alcoholism, stop going through the. Hold on, I'm telling you.
You're not gonna tell me how to get rid of alcoholism because
I'm not saying that. I'm getting closer to the mic because you told me that before.
Get a radio show.
Reclaiming my time.
I am speaking, Miss Roxy. I am speaking.
Reclaiming my time. I think at the end of the day, all he's trying to say is, now if we get what we asking for, we gotta do better. Because once you know better, you're gonna do better. When you get what you're asking for, do what you need to do, but don't hold a grudge. He's saying don't hold a grudge once you get, if we get what we're asking for.
You need to be happy. If I stop beating your ass, then you need to be happy. That's what you're telling me?
No, that's not what I just said.
That's what's happening. That is what's happening. If I stop doing things purposely to the Black community, I'm gonna need y'all to be happy about it.
No, that's your interpretation though. That's your interpretation.
That's not how I interpreted that at all.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. Let me ask you a question. There has to be a resolve in anything. In reading that, how would you word it without being? And I know you're gonna be juicy when I say this, because this is my thing. Because I want another show, the conversation that Black people don't want to have with themselves.
Right.
You can be pro-Black, because I'm pro-Black. But at the same token, if in my understanding, they say, yo, we're gonna do all of this for you. Now, if they do all of this for us, then there has to be another action to the reaction. I know that you feel like there shouldn't be nothing said, or done. There's nothing that we need to do. Do you feel like that's an insult to the Black Americans' intelligence? Because if that's what you're saying, I kind of can get
it's
with
an insult
that.
to think that any Black person wants to be an alcoholic, wants to, have not be financially literate or whatever they said.
So the wording fucked you up.
Don't think that in a contract with the American government that is a contract for Black people, that we need Black people to apologize for anything.
We shouldn't be apologizing. I don't think that should be.
I didn't see anything about apologizing.
I didn't see an apology.
Reprimanding Black people in this contract. That's what.
I don't see that.
Give us the line.
I didn't see it that way.
Read the line again. Let's go and read it again so we can get the line, because I think it's really good.
I think they're stating fact. Okay. Chronic poverty creates an atmosphere full of negativity, frustration, hopelessness, depression, alcoholism, drug abuse, crime, and violence. Yes, that is a fact.
That's a fact.
Next, these are some of the conditions that plague the Black community, which is dealing with extreme generational poverty. That is a fact. As we begin to gain social and economic equality, it is our duty to clean up ourselves and our community. Basically saying we've been complaining that we didn't have enough tools in our toolbox. So let me give you the tools in your toolbox so that you can do what you said for
you were gonna do with the tools.
You could do if you had the tools.
Why does it have to be stated? Why does it have to be stated in this contract? Why can't that be a separate lane that we're going down? I'm not saying that
no, because there is no such thing as a contract without someone giving and receiving of items. That's what a contract is. So no, now some of these things should just be no shit, Sherlock. Of course we need these things. Like, yes, we need Black representation. There doesn't need to be anything I need to do to get Black representation. There shouldn't be anything that I need to do to get equal rates for loans. There shouldn't be anything, but guess what? You don't owe me baby bonds. This is something you created to assist me to become equitable, to get equity. You don't owe this.
All of this is owed.
All of it, but all of it, I don't feel all of this is reparations. If you feel that way, then that is fine. But this is something that's saying we want to help you get ahead with this baby bond. But guess what? I like the stipulation that says you got to be 18 to access the funds. And oh, by the way, don't blow it on Jordans and a Tiger and Alexis. This is what they're saying, because guess what? We as Black people ourselves, watch each other on Facebook and joke each other for doing that shit.
Why does it have to
taxes and you go get Jordans and you ball for 2 weeks and then you're pissed off because you're back in the situation that you were in before April 15th. What this is saying is we trying to help. Please don't blow this shit and make us look like jackasses for getting these things and then you misappropriate what has been given.
Okay. Don't fuck it up.
Hold on. Hold on. What are you saying, Keela?
Necessary because even as a parent, guess what? Yeah, I owe you shelter. I owe you food. I owe you all the things for you to live your life. But guess what? You disrespect my ass, you're going to get backhanded. You steal from me, you're going to be backhanded. It's a contract.
Because that is your child. That's not a child you kidnapped.
No, it's not.
Then you owe that child everything. You know what I'm saying? And that child can disrespect you forever.
So you're saying that we should get all these things and then still be able to have excuses? Because this is what it's saying.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it should not be a part of the contract. It should not be a condition.
Yes, it should.
Okay, so where's this is the word.
There's no accountability
in
the contract.
Where's the accountability? Because you in a contract, you have to have two parties. Whoever signed the contract, regardless, has to have the accountability. Now, I will say this. You said a great point, Keela, as far as the Native Americans and all the ones, they didn't have to do anything for it.
Do we know that? Do we know that?
I'm just saying.
Do we know that?
Okay, I'm just saying hypothetically. She made a great point. I was saying, let me finish. That if this is the case and they didn't have to do anything for it, then I get where you're coming from. But what I'm saying in any contract, because the Black American, Ice Cube himself made the contract. He made it for us to hopefully get these things. I think just dealing honestly, like Dizzy said, in our culture, you know, accountability is something that I think we all do not want to say on camera, but it's something that's really real. And I think that it's not coming from a white American because a white American didn't write it. That's what I'm saying. Like, it wasn't written by a white person. This was written by a Black person that wants to see the betterment of our community. But I can see where the wordplay of, yo, I don't want it to sound like I'm apologizing for something that I'm owed. Like, they owe us point blank in the period, not a discussion. But if all of these things are happening, I guess, in the higher part, and them dealing with the political people that they deal with, there has to be some kind of something going on, because in contracts, regardless of how we say it, if I sign a contract to be a part of Keeling Mahogany, there's going to be an agreement between both of us, regardless of what
on this contract. I'm saying it should not be a condition to be able to get the other things. That is,
it should be a condition.
It's not a condition. What are
they gonna do? They can't take all of it back. They can't take it all back. I think the last statement is a request.
Oh, yeah.
Not, they can't take all of this back if you don't comply.
How about I take it as a mission statement?
A new pride must develop with these new opportunities, and we must fight against negativity, frustration, hopelessness, depression, alcoholism, drug abuse, crime, and motherfucking violence.
That doesn't sound like a mission statement amongst a group or a community that's trying to work for better?
Do you not think that's you think that's a stereotype, or you think that's not really legitimately us?
Happens, let's say, when you're in a situation that is hopeless. Depression is a mental illness. Alcoholism is a mental illness. Drug abuse comes from a mental illness.
I get what you're saying. You're breaking it down each word by word, but from what I read and how it's worked and how he worded it out, he's like, poverty is a cause for all this. And the whole list of things before this will help to end our poverty. Now, once we end our poverty, we need to take what we're getting and build from this and not go backwards.
Become responsible with what you've been given.
Y'all do realize that rich people are alcoholics, depressed.
No, I understand that. I get that.
Hopelessness.
And like I said, from how it's worded, it sounds like he's saying, once we get this, let's not be like them. Let's move forward.
That's impossible. That's not real.
I didn't say it's not possible, and I didn't say it was impossible. All I'm saying is, from what he wrote right there, that's all he was trying to get across is let's be better.
It's impossible to do that, to hold Black people to this.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Don't put that in there to try to make us be better.
So you're saying like the titles that they're given are not Black things; those are human things.
Those are human things.
And you can't give the Black community those human things because then you're making us responsible for something that's actually global.
It's a global thing, but it's also something that happens because of either poverty, because of mental illness. Like those are things that you really can't help sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And so this contract to me says that the Black person has if you're an alcoholic, just stop being an alcoholic. Now that you have all of these things, just stop being an alcoholic.
And maybe that's what they wanted to, maybe they were saying what you're saying, but now this is a good thing for their team to see this, because that's another thing with rewrites and contracts is
I think they worded it wrong.
Giving it understanding. Like the majority of us, first of all, I want to hear from Candace, but us three, we saw it like that. You saw it another way. And that's something that maybe should be taken into account is that, look, wording is very important in any contract.
Right.
Verbiage is key. And where you see three right now, one speaking, one taking it in, having, you know, that's the one thing that I always look at is like, well, maybe it does need to be touched up a bit because you do want people to understand it. But right off the first shot, I understood it as, oh, da-da-da-da-da. I didn't take on like, oh, you're saying Black people are depressed, Black people are mental.
Black people are responsible for depression, unlike somebody else.
Right. And I was like, that's not right. So I get what you're saying now.
I'm not saying that, you know, how we rebuild our communities, I'm not saying that doesn't need to happen. What I'm saying is if we're talking about this contract with Black America, it does not need to be conditional in Black people and what they need to do in order to look grateful for all this shit.
Because you don't have to be grateful for it.
Right, and I don't think it's grateful either. And that's what I'm saying. I do not see it that way because I do feel that if this happens, because we're up here arguing a point that we don't even know if this shit is going to actually come to fruition.
But it's good.
But it's good. Right. I mean, I want to speak it into existence because this is some good stuff. But what I'm saying is, I okay, so are you saying that, okay, we're going to give you all this shit and you do with it as you may, and we ain't going to say shit to you about it?
There's already parameters around it. Yes.
No, I'm saying if I'm giving, here we go, we're going to do all of this. The contract is valid. It's in effect tomorrow morning. So Black people, do whatever you're going to do with it. That's what you feel should be the...
What else? Like, that's what's going to happen?
No, I'm asking, is that what should happen? And we as a people should not have expectations of each other to do better.
Not in terms of how we receive this. Now, if you're saying that if we don't need to have all of this going on, and then you need to also have programs that help out with alcoholism and stuff in these communities that you don't want it to happen.
Right.
You can't just say, don't let it happen. We need to, because what they say is, as we gain social and economic equality, we must begin to dissolve any bitterness in our hearts for past wrongs. How that happen? How we do that? Because I don't know. I'ma still be bitter as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Now the next generation may not. They will grow up with a better sense of America and without all of this, because they will come from the generation where people actually stood up and said, let's change it. Not us.
Right.
I'm gonna be a us, because I think that's the two different things and the greatness of this panel. Like, I know that you have an angst. I don't have an angst because I have a hope. You know what I'm saying? And there's a difference. My angst is still, but there's a hope in it. So therefore, I look at it totally different. And I think that's another thing that we should address. Like Arlene said, good discussion is like in the Black community, we still have a complex, I think, irony in us of how we look at things. And so for me, that would be a great question is like, well, after you get this stuff, you still will have an angst, huh? And I'm not saying to you, I'm saying like just in general, like some people may not be able to even let it go. And I'm like, for me, not that I won't let it go, but once again, I'm not a halfway person. I can't see the sun if I'm still stuck in the, in the moon, like I'm still trying to just hold on to something. Right. I do believe that there has to be not a letting go, because you can't let go of the pain that it have done to us. But when I say done to us, I take on the leadership of us, but in the physical, it wasn't done to me. It was done to my history and my past and my heritage. And it's my responsibility to make sure that it doesn't go and repeat and it never happens again. But I can never fathom, even understand the degree of what they went through, because the pictures alone always brings me to tears. But I'm just realizing, like, okay, so I get it. And I totally get now, Killer, what you're saying is like, verbiage, we're not responsible for the mental issues of everybody, but I think what they were trying to say is, in our community, we deal with all those things.
But I also believe that they are also trying to say that because these things in this contract have not been addressed, have not been rectified, this is what's causing the chronic poverty. This is what's causing it. Okay. And I think that yes, that's what's causing the decisions that were made when you decided to steal slaves, bring slaves to the United States and then make us work with no money and not be able to build generational wealth. That causes chronic poverty for us, which can lead to this list of conditions, because I am sure that somebody somewhere is using chronic poverty and the list of conditions as reasons for equality. Not reasons, as evidence, right? Evidence of what we are experiencing because of the wrong. The wrong occurred and chronic poverty happened, and these are the results of chronic poverty. So change this so we can change chronic poverty, so that we're not going to eliminate this list of things, because you're still going to have rich negative people, rich frustrated people, rich hopeless people, rich depressed people, I get that. But you cannot negate the fact that this wrong causes generational poverty, which causes chronic poverty, which gives us a higher risk of all of these things. So I think that the first statement is an acknowledgement. We get it. This is why things are messed up. And these things plague our community. I agree with that. And they're saying, but I'm saying, can we do better when we get this stuff? Can we do better? Huh?
Say it again.
Is what I'm saying. They shouldn't have said anything. They should have stopped right there.
Oh, and left that piece out, that last piece. Okay.
Why are you trying to hold me accountable to be whatever they're trying to do? That's all.
And you know what? A good thing I just about, why are you holding me accountable to be something that you created? I get in some way. I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Imagine all of you, how much more you would have been. That's what I think about. How much more would I have been if my ancestors would not have been fucked with? If Jim Crow laws wouldn't have, been in ripe in this country. So it's not just about poverty, but it's even about middle class. Imagine how much more and how many more of your siblings, cousins, uncles, brothers would have been college educated. We will be further along in this history. Right. So it's like, I sometimes get pissed off because yes, I may be smart. I'm college educated. You know what I'm saying? I own my own business. How else would I have been able to do if my father would have actually been able to give me, just a small loan of $1 million?
Right.
What if that was regular? You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I mean, that we are all affected by this.
Yeah. Right.
This is actually good.
We can definitely talk about it because we do, you know what I mean? With better resources, you do want to be better in life. Just don't have this contract. That's all.
Got it. And with that, look, I will say you have people saying, "Ooh, this is a good conversation."
It really was.
So it said this contract is just a start. I'm sure there will be other things implemented later to help with all these situations mentioned among the Black community. This was a good discussion. This was a good discussion.
It was.
So with that, we going on 2 hours. We out.
Sorry, y'all.
We love y'all.
We love y'all though.
Look, we gonna see y'all next Sunday, 1 p.m. What you got to say? We out.